Love him or hate him, there is no denying it. President Trump is one of crypto's most influential figures. What few in crypto talk about, though, is how he and his family have quietly profited from the very industry he's helped promote. So, the question is, are we seeing the dawn of a bold crypto-powered future, or just another case of political opportunism? Today, we're breaking down a bombshell report with the answers and telling you what it could mean for the crypto industry. My name is Guy. Stay tuned. First up, though, I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial or investment advice. It's just educational content intended to inform you about Trump's crypto ties. So, if that sounds good, prove it by punching that like button, and let's get into it. Now, the report we'll be summarizing for you today comes from Reuters, and it is titled, quote, "Inside the Trump Family's Global Crypto Cash Machine." We'll leave a link to the full report for you in the description if you're interested. It's behind a paywall, but don't worry, you'll have the juiciest highlights right here in this video. So the report begins with an eye-watering statistic. In the first half of 2025 alone, the Trump family allegedly made over $800 million from sales of crypto assets, on top of potentially billions of dollars in unrealized paper gains. However, most of this isn't because of the president himself, but because of his sons, particularly Eric and Don Jr. Back in May, Eric Trump was on a family business trip in Dubai where he allegedly met with a Chinese businessman named Gurren, aka Bobby Zhu, on the sidelines of Token 2049. Eric discussed the failings of traditional banking and the obstacles that he and his father have experienced. Eric then made Bobby one hell of a proposition. Buy $20 million worth of WLFI, the native token for the Trump family's DeFi project, World Liberty Financial, and help shape the future of American finance. Eric explained what the platform intends to offer: a stablecoin and a cross-chain bridge, both now live, along with an exchange and a borrowing and lending platform, which are still in development. Note that it's not clear when these features will be rolled out. Anyway, despite this DeFi platform missing most of its DeFi elements, investments came pouring in. In June, one of Bobby's firms, the Aqua One Foundation, announced it would buy $100 million worth of WLFI, the largest purchase at the time. But Dubai was just one stop on a global tour. Around the time of the presidential elections, Eric and Donald Jr. traveled across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, promoting World Liberty Financial alongside other Trump Organization ventures. To say their sales pitch was successful would be an understatement. The Trump Organization's income skyrocketed from $51 million last year to a staggering $864 million in the first half of 2025 alone, a 17x increase. 90% of that total, specifically $802 million, allegedly came from the Trump family's crypto ventures, including WLFI token sales. What's crazy, though, is that this $864 million represents free cash-flowing income. A whopping $466 million of this allegedly came exclusively from World Liberty Financial. And this includes $75 million from the $100 million Aqua One deal mentioned earlier, since 75% of revenue from WLFI token sales is funneled to a Trump Organization entity, according to the small print on World Liberty's website. But of course, WLFI isn't the only Trump-backed token. As you'll know, there's also the Trump meme coin, which launched just days before the president's inauguration. The report estimates the Trump family allegedly earned $336 million from Trump token sales, although the lack of transparency around the meme coin makes these figures less certain. The report adds that, quote, WLFI tokens offer holders little beyond a limited say in the business's plans, unlike governance tokens for similar projects, and says the Trump meme coin only has value as a collectible tied to Trump's name. In other words, a celebrity coin. Ironically, though, the report completely fails to mention or factor in the Melania meme coin that launched shortly afterward. This is the first of many clues that the authors are somewhat biased against Trump and not particularly knowledgeable about crypto either. Keep this in mind as we continue. And if you happen to be thinking that you want to trade these Trump cryptos, then check out the Coin Bureau deals page. That's where you'll find exchange sign-up bonuses of up to $100,000, trading fee discounts of up to 50%, and deposit cashbacks of up to 75% on the best crypto exchanges. Just hit the link in the description or scan this QR code, which will take you to the deals page. There you'll see all of our offers across a range of exchange partners. Simply click one of these Sign Up Now buttons and that should take you right to the deal. Now, these deals won't be around forever though, so take advantage while you can using the link in the description below or by scanning the QR code on screen now. Okay, the next part of the report takes a closer look at World Liberty Financial's investors. This is where those biases I just mentioned start to creep through. Heck, the section is literally titled, quote, "Legal but Unethical." The authors note that, quote, "The identities of most buyers of the WLFI tokens are hidden behind opaque wallet addresses," before adding that, quote, "Among the few major buyers whose identities are known, most have histories of legal and regulatory entanglements related to their business endeavors." Interesting choice of words, especially since the WLFI token sale technically required KYC, so all of these investors are actually known. Anyhow, the authors claim they interviewed 6 entrepreneurs who met with the Trump brothers, 5 of whom admitted that their goal was to gain proximity to the president, hoping to profit from new business opportunities and leverage Trump's political and financial influence. For others, however, merely cashing in on the Trump brand was simply too tempting to ignore. For example, investment firm Odiyana Ventures aped into WLFI despite its founder, Dorji Rabtin, having never spoken to the brothers directly. According to Rabtin, quote, "In the first very moment where we saw the project, we thought it's going to be very huge, obviously, given the fact that it's a president's sons taking up that project." This is where the ethics around Trump's crypto ventures get rather sketchy. That's because several government ethics experts allege the president's role in crypto, combined with his position overseeing crypto policy, present a conflict of interest unprecedented in modern history. As one expert put it, quote, "These people are not pouring money into the coffers of the Trump family business because of the brothers' acumen. They are doing it because they want freedom from legal constraints and impunity that only the president can deliver." Put differently, people are making Trump-related investments to buy special treatment. However, there's an important caveat. Unless investors were explicitly promised favorable treatment, the Trump family hasn't broken any laws. The White House has also repeatedly denied conflicts of interest, noting the president placed his businesses in a trust managed by his children, although he would regain access to the Trump organization's funds immediately upon leaving office. But back to World Liberty Financial. As mentioned earlier, the protocol has yet to release many of its features. Instead, the project's leadership has been laser-focused on promoting USD1 since March. Now, for context, USD1 is World Liberty's flagship stablecoin, though it's issued and legally managed by BitGo, which pays World Liberty a share of its profits. The authors then make a few observations that arguably reveal their limited crypto knowledge. First, they note that USD1's circulation is dwarfed by other market leaders, such as USDT and USDC. But this is to be expected. USD1 is a baby, having only launched in April. Conversely, USDT is 11 years old and USDC is 7 years old. Then, the authors say that while WLFI holders can vote on limited governance matters, they can't award themselves a share of the profits, which they say is, quote, unusual among peer-to-peer crypto lending platforms, according to 2 academics who study crypto markets. Newsflash: most projects explicitly avoid profit sharing because it invites regulatory scrutiny and creates centralization risks, where whales are given disproportionate voting power. The fact the authorities say they spoke to experts about this raises more questions than answers. In any case, the report also notes how Trump is reshaping US crypto policy. Since reclaiming his old job, he has upended the regulatory landscape, paving the way for crypto innovation. The Justice Department dismantled its crypto enforcement team, Operation Chokepoint 2.0 was choked out, and the SEC has dropped multiple high-profile lawsuits against crypto companies. The authors then note that, quote, World Liberty conveys the impression of a presidential connection, with Trump listed as co-founder emeritus, essentially an honorary title. The other co-founder is billionaire real estate investor Stephen Witkoff, though the website's fine print states both positions were, quote, removed upon taking office. However, the president's sons, Eric, Donald Jr., and Barron Trump, are listed as active co-founders, along with Witkoff's sons, Zach and Alex. Notably, Zach has actively helped the Trump brothers promote the protocol and its WLFI token. Thanks to these token sales, the Trump family has allegedly earned almost $1 billion, if not more. And in early August, a small blockchain services company called Alt5 Sigma raised $750 million to help buy 7.5% of WLFI's supply, massively outmatching that $100 million purchase by the Aqua One Foundation that I mentioned earlier. Now, because 75% of WLFI fees are funneled to the Trump Organization, the family stood to gain roughly $500 million. The following day, Eric told Fox News, quote, "It is an incredibly exciting time." You don't say. Alt5 Sigma likely doesn't share that excitement, though. Its stock tanked by 75%, which frankly isn't surprising. Not exactly the most strategic use of investor capital. The report also notes that the Trump family's assets include any Trump and WLFI tokens they still hold, plus shares in Trump Media and Technology Group, which runs Trump's social media platform Truth Social, which now also dabbles in crypto. The report's authors estimate the paper value of these assets could exceed $11 billion. Now, the next part of the report examines some of World Liberty Financial's shadier dealings, particularly with foreign investors. The authors note that WLFI token sales began in October last year, but US sales were slow because SEC rules limited participation to wealthy investors, effectively shutting out the little guy. Sales outside the US weren't much better either, largely because the Trump family self-imposed ethical guidelines during Trump's first term that effectively barred overseas business. So, just days after Trump's inauguration, the organization revised these rules and removed the restriction. Coincidence? I think not. As a result, foreign investment surged. Crypto analytics firm Nansen found that among the top 50 WLFI holders, 36 wallets were likely overseas, valued at $804 million. Just 4 wallets were likely US-based, totaling $889 million, mostly held by Alt5 Sigma. The remaining 10 wallets couldn't be geographically identified. It's an almost identical story for the Trump meme coin. Among the top 220 holders, 72% were likely foreign wallets, the same percentage as the top WLFI holders. And, as you've probably heard, one of the largest WLFI holders is Tron founder Justin Sun, who is no stranger to controversy. In 2023, the SEC charged him with fraud, selling unregistered securities, and hiding payments for celebrity shills. The newly pro-crypto SEC paused the case in February, just weeks after Sun announced he'd invested $75 million in WLFI tokens. And with the 75% fee structure, this gave the Trump family roughly $56 million. The report also alleges that the Trump family profited from other foreign investors too, through the USD1 stablecoin. In May, MGX, a state-controlled Abu Dhabi investment company, used USD1 to buy a $2 billion stake in Binance, the largest institutional investment in the exchange ever. To this day, that deal still represents around 75% of USD1's circulating supply, despite World Liberty claiming it shows, quote, extraordinary worldwide demand. But here's where things get interesting. The report notes that, quote, the board chairman of MGX is Sheikh Tahnoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the UAE's national security advisor, and a brother of UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. Moreover, the $2 billion MGX paid to create the USD1 is held in cash equivalents, including US Treasury securities. World Liberty's website notes that those securities generate interest payments to some affiliates, including one affiliate that's 38% owned by the Trump Organization. That income stream of roughly $80 million per year could net the Trumps millions in 2025 alone. Despite this, though, MGX claims the move wasn't an investment in World Liberty Financial. What's strange, though, is that MGX said they analyzed several stablecoins and chose USD1 after, quote, examining such factors as business suitability, the jurisdiction and currency of assets backing the stablecoin, and compliance history. Kinda makes you wonder what they had against USDC, which arguably outperforms on all these metrics. Regardless, the $2 billion purchase marked a turning point for Binance, particularly for co-founder and former CEO Changpeng Zhao, more commonly known as CZ. In late 2023, Binance pleaded guilty to failing to maintain an effective anti-money laundering program and paid a $4.3 billion fine. CZ then stepped down as CEO and served nearly 4 months in a US prison. Then, in May this year, CZ revealed he'd applied for a presidential pardon. And as you'll know, Trump duly pardoned CZ on the 23rd of October. CZ then tweeted his thanks, adding that Binance would do everything it can to make America the capital of crypto. This ties into the report's final section, where the authors argue that a clear example of how the Trump Organization provides access to the president came on the 27th of April, when Donald Jr. visited Bulgaria. This wasn't a state visit, but part of a conference series called Trump Business Vision 2025. The event was sponsored by Nexo, a crypto finance platform based in the Cayman Islands. Notably, Nexo left the US after the SEC fined it $45 million in January 2023 for, yep, you guessed it, offering unregistered securities. Nexo's co-founder, Anthony Trenchev, joined Donald Jr. on stage, along with a former member of the Bulgarian National Assembly. During the conference, Trenchev announced Nexo would resume US operations. Now, in fairness, the company later clarified the decision wasn't due to his interactions with Donald Jr., but because of America's shifting regulatory landscape. By July, though, Nexo was very close to the Trump family. It became a lead sponsor at Trump's Aberdeen golf course, and weeks later, Trump invited Trenchev there for lunch and a round of golf. They discussed politics and crypto before Trenchev posted a photo with his new bestie on X. But back to April 2025. Shortly after Donald Jr. landed in Bulgaria, his brother Eric took the stage with Zach Witkoff at Token 2049 in Dubai. There, Eric announced the $2 billion MGX deal mentioned earlier. The moderator on stage at the time? Why, none other than Justin Sun, the largest known WLFI token holder at the time. But just hours earlier, Eric had spoken with Bobby, the aforementioned Chinese businessman who invested $100 million in WLFI. Intriguingly, Bobby recently served as chairman of the UAE offices of Web3port, a crypto firm registered in the British Virgin Islands. But Bobby has a rather checkered legal history. Allegedly, he was arrested in the UK in 2021 and is currently under investigation for money laundering. Additionally, he was found in 3 civil cases to have defaulted on loans totaling over $2.4 million, and in one case, he even failed to appear in court. Another one of Bobby's business ventures, Aqua Labs, has since denied that he did anything illegal, stating, quote, "Any implication to the contrary is defamatory and false." However, the UK's National Crime Agency and a document filed in a London Royal Courts of Justice immigration case suggest otherwise. What's crazy is that Aqua Labs is actually Web3port. The company just changed its name in June, about a month after meeting Eric Trump, possibly to shake off its previous reputation. And just days later, it announced its $100 million WLFI token purchase. Bobby later appeared on a live stream on X buzzing about Aqua Labs. He said they were, quote, "very proud to be a major player in World Liberty, which is Trump's family's crypto venture." And with that, we've reached the end of the Reuters report. And remember, you can find a link to the full report in the description below. So, just one question remains. What does all of this mean for the crypto industry? Well, let's start with the obvious. This doesn't exactly paint a very positive picture for crypto. Frankly, much of what this report covers borders on corruption, suggesting that those with the deepest pockets can buy all the power they want simply by buying the right token. Now, of course, the caveat is that this isn't actually true. None of these big investments came with the guarantee of getting in Trump's good books. And as we've pointed out, the authors have shown a clear bias against Trump and at times a lack of understanding of crypto. And in fact, the bias can also be seen on the individual X accounts of each author. Nevertheless, it is fair to say that Trump is controversial at the best of times, and crypto is increasingly getting dragged into that controversy. Nothing highlights this more than the Trump and Melania meme coins. Both generated massive hype but left thousands of investors burned. The optics around these meme coins are pretty bleak. But despite the chaos, they did achieve something positive. They attracted thousands, if not millions, of new investors to crypto. Now, in theory, these investors would quit after getting burned. In practice, though, human greed knows no limits. Many were likely exposed to crypto's wild upside swings for the first time, and many will have sought other similar opportunities that just can't be found elsewhere. So, while it might seem like the Trump family is doing more harm than good, they are in some way actually helping drive crypto adoption. Combine that with Trump creating the most bullish regulatory backdrop the industry has ever seen, and it could all end up being bullish for the crypto market in the long term, despite how brutal things have been in the short term. Well, let's see. Alright, that's quite enough from me for today, but we want to hear from you now. Is the Trump Organization supporting crypto innovation, or is this political opportunism at its finest? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to see which cryptos are held by Trump's insiders, check out the video right over here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. This is Guy, signing off.